If NFL games were played in and decided by the crux of the volume stats in a box score, how well a team moved the football and how well they kept the opposition from moving, and there were no acknowledgement of the pesky little nuance of the ultimate outcome of drives, the Houston Texans would be in the conversation as one of the best teams in football. After all, for yet another week, Deshaun Watson piled up yardage through the air on Sunday night, 375 yards in all, and the defense held Cowboys RB Ezekiel Elliott, 1 week removed from 240 yards of total offense against the Lions, to 84 yards rushing and receiving, combined. If you knew only those facts, you'd say the Texans beat the Cowboys by 3 touchdowns on Sunday night, not just by 3 points. Alas, the Texans managed 4 trips inside the Dallas 5-yard line that netted 21, 20, and 19-yard field goals by Ka'imi Fairbairn, and somehow, in a game where they racked up 462 yards of offense and Watson averaged 8.5 yards per pass attempt, the Texans needed an overtime field goal and questionable decisions from the opposing head coach for the second straight week to escape with a 19-16 overtime win over the Cowboys on Sunday night. Look, I feel almost whiny complaining about how the Texans won on a day after they closed the gap to 1 game on the Jaguars and the Titans in the division, but the inability to punch the ball in from in close on Sunday night was a little embarrassing, and if Bill O'Brien's post-game answer as to why it was that way is any indicator, when asked about it, he said, "I don't know, I'm not sure it gets fixed anytime soon." More on all that in a minute, because at the end of the day, the Texans did find a way to win. Sure, it was only by a field goal in overtime at home against a clearly inferior foe, but hey, they were actually losing games like this a couple weeks ago, so we will take the W, I suppose. Time for a few winners and losers. Winners for the second straight week. Fairbairn wins the game with an OT field goal. Photo by Eric Southside 4. Ka'imi Fairbairn fantasy owners, they say, for every action there is an equal and opposite reaction. So when the Texans run a dozen or so plays inside the opposition's 5-yard line that net just 3 short field goals, someone has to happy, right? Well, yes, that someone would be the fortunate folks, like me, who picked up Ka'imi Fairbairn in fantasy football knowing that this team's offensive line cannot really move the opposing defensive front enough to gain 1 yard at the goal line. Enjoy those 13 points, people. It won my game for me. Alfred Blue filled in admirable for Lamar Miller. Photo by Eric Southside 3. Alfred Blue is in his 5th season as a Houston Texan, and I think I've tried to get him cut during each of the last 4 of those seasons. I feel kind of bad, as we interviewed Blue on the post-game show last night, and he couldn't be a nicer guy. However, his 2 yards and a cloud of dust each carry has been a frustrating watch the last few years. However, I will issue this statement on Blue, as a backup who can step in a pinch on short notice, like he did last night, and get you 119 total yards, I'm fine with Blue. In this offense, with Watson as the head of the snake, the running backs are always going to be relegated to second-class citizenry, so just hold on to the ball and take the yards that are there, scarce as they may be with this offensive line. That's what Blue did last night. To Kareem Jackson before the season, the message seemed pretty clear that Kareem Jackson's time in Houston was on its last legs, based on the behavior of the front office. They gave Kevin Johnson his 5th-year option, signed Aaron Colvin and Tyrann Mathieu, resigned Jonathan Joseph, and drafted Justin Reed. Jackson looked like an odd man out. It's not an overstatement, though, to say that Jackson has been one of their 3 or 4 most valuable defenders, especially considering he's had to slide back and forth between cornerback and safety, with all of the injuries to other guys. Last night, Jackson had 5 tackles, 1 tackle for loss, and 2 passes defended, including a near pick 6 on the last play of regulation. DeAndre Hopkins continues to make his case as the WR in football. Photo by Eric Southside 1. DeAndre Hopkins' great players make outcome-affecting plays, and for the second straight week, the Texans' game-winning field goal was set up by a DeAndre Hopkins atcha-in run in overtime. The play against the Colts last week was a basic slant pattern that Hopkins took for 24 yards. The play last night was a difficult catch that Hopkins, of course, made look easy, and the run after catch was spectacular, with Hopkins spinning and twirling his way into field goal range. When you consider everything that comes with being a receiver, a football player, and a teammate, Hopkins, 9 catches, 101 yards, is the best receiver in football and best player on this team. Losers: the Texans shut down Elliott, who had just 54 yards rushing. Photo by Eric Sousa 4. Ezekiel Elliott: good job, Romeo Crennel. Just 1 week after his defense allowed over 460 yards passing to a receiving corps that was led by a bunch of guys who will be working at Circle K next year, the Texans' defensive coordinator was the architect of a defense that held Ezekiel Elliott in check, as the Pro Bowl RB gained just 84 total yards on 27 touches. Aside from 3 big passing plays that set up each of the Cowboys' 3 field goals, and a touchdown allowed on a short field after a Hopkins fumble, the Cowboys gained next to nothing on the Texans' defense, and it's fair to wonder if their shutting down Elliott impacted this next bullet point. 3. Jason Garrett in Dallas today. The topic of conversation has to be Garrett's decision to punt the ball in overtime on 4th and 1 at the Texans' 42-yard line. If any team in the NFL was built to get 4th and 1 at the opposing 42-yard line, it's the Dallas Cowboys. I mean, that moment is why you use multiple first-round picks on offensive linemen and the 4th overall pick on a running back, is it not? In fact, I would argue that there's really no point in any NFL game, regardless of situation, where you don't go for it on 4th and 1 at the opposing 42-yard line. Garrett chose to do it last night, and he is still waiting to get the back. 2. Whitney Mercilus: yet another week where I must ask my readers, if you've seen Whitney Mercilus, please contact the Texans. They need him. His name is not in this box score. I'm looking at, oh, what's that? He played in 81% of the snaps. Oh dear, I'm not sure what's on O'Brien's sheet, but it doesn't work in the red zone. Photo by Eric Sousa 1. Red zone execution and play calling okay, aside from, hey, the Texans beat the Cowboys. Yeah, the biggest story coming out of last night's game was the Texans' almost comical play calling and execution inside the Cowboys' 5-yard line. It started out okay, as the Texans built on last week's success on goal-to-go situations. They converted all 3 of those situations into TDs against the Colts last week, with a 1-yard shovel pass for a touchdown to Kiki Kuti. After that, it became a tragicomedy. Here were the drives: 1st and goal at Doll 6, 7:33 left and 2Q1 Saint goal at 6 Alfred Blue -3-yard run 2nd goal at 9 Deshaun Watson 2-yard scramble, shotgun, 3rd goal at 7 Deshaun Watson incomplete pass to Tyler Ervin, shotgun, 4th goal at 7 Kaimi Fairburn 20-yard FG 1st and goal at Doll 9, 0:29 left and 2Q 1st goal at 9 Deshaun Watson incomplete to Ryan Griffin, shotgun, 2nd goal at 9 Deshaun Watson incomplete to DeAndre Hopkins, shotgun, 3rd goal at 9 Deshaun Watson complete to Hopkins 8 yards, shotgun, 4th goal at 1 Deshaun Watson scramble for -1 yard, shotgun, 1st and goal at Doll 4, 5:47 left in 3Q 1st goal at 4 Deshaun Watson incomplete to DeAndre Hopkins, shotgun, 2nd goal at 4 Deshaun Watson 1-yard designed run to left, shotgun, 3rd goal at 3 Deshaun Watson incomplete to Ryan Griffin, shotgun, 4th goal at 3 Kaimi Fairburn 21-yard FG 1st and goal at Doll 1, 10:01 left in 4Q 1st goal at 1 Alfred Blue rush, no gain, shotgun, 2nd goal at 1 Deshaun Watson QB sneak, no gain, 3rd goal at 1 Deshaun Watson incomplete to Ryan Griffin, shotgun, 4th goal at 1 Kaimi Fairburn 19-yard FG. If you're keeping track, that's 13 non-FG plays, 11 of which were run out of shotgun, and at least 3 of which still almost got Deshaun Watson killed. It was so bad that, by the last drive where a pass interference of Hopkins set up 1st and goal at the 1, the reaction in the press box wasn't, yes, there at the 1-yard line, but instead was, oh crap, how can they possibly punch it in here, from the 1-yard line? And sadly, we were right. Happily, though, the Texans won, but the storm clouds of red zone inefficiency loom over this team as they try to creep back into the AFC South conversation. Listen to Sean Pendergast on Sports Radio 610 from 2 to 6 p.m. weekdays. Also, follow him on Twitter at http://twitter.com/SeanPendergast and like him on Facebook at https://www.facebook.com/SeanPendergast.